Hello, and let's see. Oh, I'm gonna do this to save the microphone a bit. Hello, and welcome to another writing live stream where we rewrite the first draft of Wrapped in Ocean. It's a pirate fantasy novel, and yeah, that's it, I think. We are doing these live streams every Friday, with like a few exceptions, or one exception. And this is our 6th live stream. If you haven't been here before, if you're completely new to the channel, hello, I'm Ermilia. I'm an indie author and I'm currently working on my pirate fantasy novel, Wrapped in Ocean, and I decided to document everything and bring you along with me for the whole ride. And yeah, so last week we had Cordelia's transformation, or we didn't see the transformation, but she made the decision to transform into a sea creature to go and find Captain Jones, who is the person who has been responding to her letters for 3 years. Bottled letters. And the last we saw, both her brother as well as her, I guess we can call him fiance, though it's not really official, decided to go with the naval people to try and find her. We also last time had a chapter with the pirate ship, the Locket, seeing the slave ship. And that's where we'll take up today. The first chapter we're doing will be after that fight. So I think there will also be a little bit more mentions of the crow's nest on the Locket, since it's kind of sacred ground, not religiously, but because the first mate lives up there. And we will also get a little bit of backstory on Jones. Just a tiny bit. And some dramatics. And for the rest of the evening, because I am aiming to do 3 chapters each week, because it's a good middle ground. I get through a lot of chapters, while it's not too much for me to do in just one sitting. Sometimes it is like stretching it a bit, but 3 is the most I can manage in these sittings, since I'm also like still nervous about everything in these live stream things. So, but after the Locket chapter, we will go back to the Sailing Serpent and just see how Arthur and Rasmus adapts, and we will get a bit of Levi, Anthony, and Isora dynamic. We will also see that Levi is a lazy bastard. So, yeah, and then we will get like the aftermath of Cordelia's transformation and a bit of more description on it, because it's painful. It's quite painful to merge with any sea creature, really, because that's what happens. And we'll get some underwater scenarios and just Cordelia adapting to being underwater, like living underwater. So that's what we're doing today. I'm really excited. I have also realized that next week we will introduce the Flying Dutchman, so a third ship. But don't worry, there will be 2 ships in motion at the same time. But that also means, because I am doing a little bit of like reading the next week's chapters too, just to make sure it's like, do I need to figure something out until next week? And I would have to rename a character, or I kind of want to rename a character, and I decided I could use some help, because I can't for the love of me figure out a better name for him, but I also don't like the name he has. Like, I like the vibes of the name, but I don't like the name. So, after the live stream, there is a link down in the description for a poll that I am holding just on Patreon, because it was easier to just link everything somewhere else. That way I can link it from my other platforms too, not only YouTube. And there's also some fun sketches of this character, but his name is Victor, or like that's my placeholder name, and it suits him really well. It's just that I think he's too good to be named Victor. So yeah, I will talk a little bit more about that later. But I'm mentioning it now, so you can think about it. If you figure out a good name that has the same vibes as Victor, but isn't Victor. So let's just dive into chapter 16. And today I have actually shrunk the window a little bit, so I don't have to move it up and down. It took 5, almost 6 live streams for me to do that. So, great. What did I call them? I remembered that I actually had a name for them last week. I don't remember. Yay! Let's go back and see. Ixions. might be the first time we're actually introducing Crow's Nest, the town Crow's Nest. Because it is the first time I have written Make a Name for This Town in the first draft. But, like, if you've seen, like, the Pirates movies, it's basically Tortuga, but the reason it's called Crow's Nest is because it was, like, it used to be, like, the headquarters for the fearsome Captain Crow, who practically ruled the seas long time ago. She was feared by all, basically, and her men too, or like her crew. And this was like very, very long time ago, but it's kind of like something that still exists because, like, she made it a big thing. And it was kind of like the Locket's own island, just ruled by Captain Crow and the crew of the Flying Dutchman. And you will get to know more about Crew later, or about Crow later, because she is kind of important. She's also partly responsible for the fact that women aren't allowed to be at seas. And it's like, it started as a good reason. But yeah, she will be important later on, especially in regards to the fantasy elements in this story. She will also be important for a short story, which I haven't talked about on these live streams, I think. I have talked about them in I have talked about that one in videos, I think, but I have the first draft of a short story connected to this book written, and my plan is to like get that done before the book is done, and like release it a bit earlier. It does take place during the fall of Captain Crow, and it follows some characters we know and some characters we don't know but we know about. And like, the current captain of the Flying Dutchman is by now a ghost ship. Practically a ghost ship. It's still a ship, it still sails, it shouldn't be able to sail, but it does, and it's surrounded by a thick mist that just like everything that gets into it kind of gets lost, and they're not really having any direction at all. But the current captain, Wilhelm, is, he used to be part of Captain Crow's crew until he fell in love with one of her prisoners. And to save her, he killed Crow. Or like as much as he could kill Crow. And that's also the thing, like there was a prophecy regarding Captain Crow that like the love of one of her crew members would be her downfall. And it wasn't supposed to be like, it wasn't a prophecy at first. It was like a warning or like a threat, like a I will try to scare you kind of thing. But Crow kind of made it a prophecy. She kind of made it into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not only once. And yeah, that's history. That's for the history books, but not really the history books, because then like this whole religion thing took over and things got twisted, and yeah. Anyway, Jones grew up in the town of Crow's Nest. And that's where they eventually joined the Locket as Davy Jones. And yeah. Captain Crow's first mate was also terrifying. And I'm not gonna say anything else. I could probably just go on and talk about this. What? Why? Is this thing... Okay, we're gonna... Okay, it actually worked. I just opened up the YouTube Studio window and it was still on the starting soon screen. Got a bit scared for a moment there. But yeah, Crow used to be a big thing, and she's still kind of a big thing. I should probably give Patch some screen time. He's really sweet. And very much the kind of person who's loyal to his wife, even if he doesn't know if he's alive. She's alive, I mean. Kind of Odysseus vibes, but like sweet and cute. And short, tiny. Not tiny, but he was supposed to have more time. Like in the beginning, he's one of the crew members that actually was there from the start when I started writing this. But I think I cut him out, and some of his parts were replaced by Reaper instead. Like Reaper still existed, but at first it was Patch who was supposed to come in and be like, yeah, the people are fighting again. But then it made more sense to have Reaper come in, since Reaper is more family to Jones, so. But I think I actually have given him page time later, which doesn't make sense because he's supposed to stay with his wife. So I will need to keep my eyes out for that. Oh no, wait. Don't think so. Okay. Do I have anything? Okay. I will be back. Bye. Don't. No, you're going outside. You are going outside. Sorry for that. Living in the forest is nice sometimes, but not when you have fire ants suddenly appearing by your keyboard. What was I doing? I don't remember if I actually gave him a thing. That's what I was doing. I was trying to see. I think I want to make Patch one of the, like, no. Patch is just a normal crew member. Not everyone has to have a specific role. Or No. 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 Okay. Okay, so first chapter done. I'm still like looking around my fingers like, okay, is there another end? There's usually only one, but you know, still get worried. Like spiders are fine. I'm pretty fine with spiders. I don't want them on me, but it's fine. But fire ants, they hurt. And I am not in the mood for that. I am not a fan of pain. But okay, yeah, so we got a bit more of Silver and Reaper too. And this might also be like the first compliment we have seen Reaper give I think. But he does that sometimes. Well, I just love these two. They're both kind of idiots. Reaper has his reasons. Silver is still trying to convince himself it's just a small crush. But yes, like Reaps will abuse his power, especially when Silver is down or something happens, or sometimes even just when Silver is being more of a pain than usual. But like I should not like that he is doing this. It's bad. It's kind of mean. But it also like really really cute. Could you say it like that? Like, Reaper will let I in more later. Though the fact that it has taken quite some time for that to happen is questionable, but you know, better late than never. Though I think Reaper would disagree with me. It will make sense. I promise. Or at least I want it to make sense to you too. There are reasons that will be explained upon later. But I have actually like taken away a lot from this chapter. There was a lot of like over explaining in the first draft, and like it's still probably things that I will rewrite and change later on. This is only the second draft, but a lot of things are more like, yeah, we will just show this instead. And also like including wood more is a good thing. Though I am still not sure if I named him Wood or Woods. I think I named him Wood. I will have to go through that later. That's okay. And we will move on over to the serpent in, just a moment. I'll be right back. And we're back. I just think everything goes a lot better, you know. So, yes, we'll go back to the Sailing Serpent, and we will go back to Levi. We are really jumping around today. But like there's so much going on that I really just like want to show everything. And later the hardest part might actually be just to make every point of view, or like making sure every point of view is as interesting as the others, which I think the one I'm most scared about is Rasmus, but I also feel like Rasmus might be the one who will evolve the most and grow, so hopefully he will just be annoying in the beginning. Today we won't have any Rasmus chapters though. But we will, like I said, we will see how Arthur manages on the Serpent and Rasmus manages on the Serpent, or like not managing, from the perspective of Levi, who is the commander of the Sailing Serpent. It's a Royal Navy ship, kind of their flagship currently, because of how many pirates they have taken now. They are mainly a pirate-seeking ship. I'm sorry, it's just... you will know next week, I think. But yeah, they will have to work together with the locket, so that's why it's kind of funny that they're like a pirate ship, or like focused on catching pirates. And yeah, and we haven't really had much like Levi, Anthony, and Isora yet, but their dynamic is also like, I love their dynamic. They're kind of a mess. I think I mentioned it before, but so for anyone who hasn't seen the previous live streams, the officers of the Sailing Serpent, or like 3 of them, have a very close relationship, and it's Anthony Longton, who is the captain, Isora Bennett, who is the sailing master or navigator, and Levi, who is the commander, and basically like Anthony's right hand man. Anthony and Levi has been friends since they studied. They studied together and spent a lot of time together. And I do like to think that they shared a room during their studies, like they were roommates. Isora came into the picture later. She's a little bit younger than the other 2, and Anthony's excuse for having Isora on board the ship is that she has the highest score from like the navigation part of the academy. Or like she hasn't, not the highest score, but the highest of people alive. And the second highest in history. That second is very important. Because the person with the highest score is declared dead. And he was a Bristol, so his father is still alive. And he's like a senior admiral currently. Like Levi, Anthony, and Isora knows him. Like they have met him, they have worked with him, and they know that his son is dead and that he caused some trouble. Now they don't know the full story. Of course they don't. And there will be hints about it. And like next week there will be hints. We'll be dropping some excitement. And then there will be a fight that I still am very much not excited to write. I think it's getting time for me to start that navigation research situation. But yeah. That's why Isora is on the ship, even though women aren't supposed to be. Because, you know, Crow is a pet at the beach. And then things just escalated. That will also like be acknowledged later on, especially when they meet someone who, or like it will be acknowledged by Wilhelm, the ghost captain of the Flying Dutchman, because like he's been sailing around for a few hundred years without ever like reaching land or having any proper destination. During his time alive, when he was, you know, human, women were said to be great leaders and doing great at like ships. He will also have like some fun commentary on that, but it's also partly his fault. So I am starting to think that like some characters would be really fun to see their point of view. Like Reaper's point of view. But I also feel like Reaper is best not being a point of view character. He is better off being like outside of our heads. Kind of. And also like Arthur would be Like, I am curious what is going on in his head right now, because he knows where Cordelia is. He knows why she left. He knows what she became. And he's just pretending. But he's also, like, going with them. To try and find her. Sorry. And also, like, Rosemary is just like, yeah, your sister is gone, your brother is going away with your uncle to find her, and we will look for her around here. And, like, she doesn't have any say in the situation, she doesn't know anything at all. Or, like, actually, I guess Arthur might have told her. But I don't know. I don't know. Like, it would probably be the kind thing to do for him to, like, tell her. And it feels like she deserves to know, and he wouldn't, like, leave her in the dark like that. But also, like, I don't know. I hope this is like clear enough that like his other part of his body wasn't actually the lower part, being like, yeah, okay, he wasn't thinking with his brain and he wasn't thinking with, you know, the lower region, but it was more of an like insta-love situation, which I don't want to specify it more, but I also don't want it to be too unclear. Like, I want people to like read it and go, okay. That's a weird way of saying it, but I get what you mean. That's something I will have to get through beta readers. I would probably also just ask my writing friends about this. I do have some that I could ask. Mm. Okay, we're putting the heat back on. Okay. I really want to make sure that I don't show Levi doing actual work on the ship. Like, he knows how to do everything. He's just avoiding it as much as possible, you know, like a true higher up. And also, like, Arthur used to want to be a sailing master. It used to be like, it was his childhood dream, but with the whole not allowed to go near the ocean, he kind of gave up. And I think part of him kind of gave up as a way to be like, okay, if I take a step back, maybe Cordelia can have her ocean time. Because he realized, like, okay, our dad won't like all of us going to the ocean against his wishes, but if I step back and Rosemary has already doesn't have that same what's it called, yearning, then maybe if I step back, our little sister can have her time. Because we both can't have it, maybe her chances are better if I, back off. Not that it really helped much, but, Okay, that was more writing than talking, which, I mean, that's good, I guess. So yeah, the sailing serpent does sometimes fly a pirate flag, which, you know, it's good. We like these people. I do have like ideas of that there are a lot of other people who aren't as against these basically slave trading as our like protagonists are, but it's also like the people who are relevant to this story are good people, and they have very strong morals, all of them. Like in the serpent's case, it's just that Anthony has a very strong sense of justice, and his justice doesn't always align with, you know, laws, but it's more like his own morals. While the Locket are also driven by their morals, but Reaper also plays a big part in this because he is very insistent. Because there's someone who he used to care very much about that was one of those slaves. And like, it's not explored very much in Wrapped in Ocean. It is explored somewhere else though. It is explored in the short story. But yeah, that's the reason is because morals. But like I said, this isn't just like, oh, this is purely bad. Everyone thinks it's bad. Like, it's bad. It's objectively bad. But there are also people who support this because of their beliefs. And the religion plays a huge part in that. I have considered, like, if I ever write a sequel to this story, that whole slave trading thing will be explored more, especially in regards to their religion. Because like, I have an idea for a sequel. I don't know if or when I will write it, but if I write it, it will probably be very focused on Rasmus helping a kid who will be taken as a slave. So it's kind of like, it would be his redemption, that like he's still part of this whole religious movement that he grew up in, but instead of, you know, believing everything like he is currently doing, he will question things and be a safe place for people who question the religion. So that's been like my thought process, and it's also why Rasmus's part in Wrapped in Ocean is so important if I ever decide to write a sequel. Because then I want him to be like the spot, like a little light in the, like in this religious community for like people and kids who doesn't feel like they fit in. And especially people who are different. Because it's not like the Exion's human trading is based on their belief that some people are worth less than other people. And it's not necessarily, I'm gonna say necessarily because it can play a part, but it's not necessarily like how people, where people come from. And I did go into a whole talk about this, I think, last week or the week before. But it's more like people who are different and doesn't fall into like standard human. And like in this world, skin tone doesn't really matter, for example, or eye color or hair color, or like how tall or short you are, and not even like weight doesn't really affect this, as long as it's what's the word, consistent. So things like if you have weirdly shaped ears or a weirdly shaped nose or different colored eyes, or like Patch having like a very uneven skin tone, or if you're missing a limb, those are things that makes them consider someone less than, like they're not worth the same as a complete human. And it's also like why another character doesn't fit in. Like, you will meet her next week, so I can't talk about her, but on the Flying Dutchman, there's a half troll, and like, don't ask me how that happened. I don't want to imagine it. I don't think anyone wants to imagine that. But she doesn't fit in with the trolls, but she also doesn't fit in with humans, because she's too much human to fit in with the trolls, but she's too much troll to fit in with the humans. And so she eventually finds a place on the Flying Dutchman. And she's the first person, except for Wilhelm, like, she's the first one to join him. Before Freya joined, he just sailed alone. You know, you can do that if you're a ghost on a ghost ship. But like, it's so ingrained in their religion that there's one truth. There's one true human form. There's one true God. There's one true belief system. like it's centered around one truth, and so if something averts to that, it doesn't fit into their picture, so you can't really be human if you don't fit the picture of a human. Which is where, like, where you come from can play a part if people are segregated and, like, people with conditions that consider them, makes them considered less, all gather in the same place. Some things are like genetic, and it can be like a child to people averting from the standard is more likely to avert from the standard. And like this, talking about it makes me feel kind of icky. Like, I feel bad for making this up, which I shouldn't, because it's bad in the story too. Like, I want to specify that, like, that's their whole reasoning, and the fact that religion plays a huge part in that. So, you know, not everyone in this universe thinks it's bad, but, you know, the people we want to be rooting for, of course, thinks it's bad. Because it is bad. Because we think it's bad. And the more I talk about it, the more I'm, like, sounding like I support it. I just want to make my world feel lived in, and like there are different people in this world. I want things to be, like, not black and white. I'm gonna stop talking. I don't support it. I don't support human trading. If that isn't clear enough. And you can write about things. You can write about bad things without supporting them. So, next chapter, our last chapter for today. We've already been going for 2 hours. We will go back to Cordelia, and somehow it seems like every third chapter, and always the last chapter for these live streams, are like the big ones, the ones where I need to change a lot of things and put a lot of effort in. They're like heavy chapters. So we will talk a bit about, like, we will describe the transformation. So I guess that could count as like a content warning. I have made sure to describe some underwater scenes, and we will also, like, talk about adapting to being underwater and describe kind of what she looks like now. Because it's a big change. It's a big transformation to merge with the sea creature, and in Cordelia's case, it's an octopus. And I will also cut out some parts of this, because I cut out some parts last week. But before we do that, I'm gonna take a short break. and I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay. I actually didn't delve very much into how the transformation felt, more than like it was painful. So I want to show it more instead of just, stating the obvious that it's painful. And I have some ideas. I have some ideas. I don't know if this is good or not, but now my back is itching. It's like talking about lice, and your whole scalp starts to itch. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna end the chapter there. The first draft also had a part like, oh, that night she dreamed about them, and like they took her away on the ship and they set sail into the sunset. But I don't feel it. I don't feel like it fits in here. Like we have calmed after the transformation now. I actually really like how the transformation part turned out. Like this whole thing is just this whole thing is just pain. So yeah, I guess we have we might need to put the content warning for that in the book, because I can see how that this would be hard to read for some people. Hell, even I feel like it's like I don't like it, and yeah, like the reason I am putting so much like itchiness, I guess, onto this is because a few weeks ago I don't know if I should call it like an infection, but like I kind of had sort of an allergic reaction, and it triggered what I think was like an onset of eczema, and it was like my whole body was itching and burning, and like I was just tensing up so I wouldn't, scratch everywhere, and that was when I was trying to sleep. So and I remember like afterwards I was like, I will use this, I will make something good out of this, and that will be Cordelia's transformation. Like it's winter, I'm always like a bit itchy, and even worse in the winter because I hate like lotions, and especially on my hands, like it just feels disgusting to have like things between my fingers, and but yeah, that's where the inspiration came from. Now I do aim to have like most of my stories being filled with hope and being comforting and all of those things, because I think we as humans need that a lot. Maybe it's just that I feel like I need that a lot. That sounds sad, but it's just like I want my stories to feel like a friend being like, hey, everything will work out, we will fix this together, I'm here, you're not alone. But I also need to, like, you need some pain sometimes to enjoy the good things. So, and in this case, I kind of want the transformation to feel bigger and not just, oh, it was painful and, things like this happen. I want you to, like, feel it, because it's like a big decision for Cordelia to, like, she gives up her humanity for this, and I want the reader to feel that, like, this isn't just a poof, magical girl transformation, probably could have been that too, But I want to be like, oh damn, this really is a big thing, and like her whole body is changing, and like that takes a lot out of you, and I just want that decision to be like, this is a big decision she has made. While still like keeping the kind of hints of how she looks like now, because like one of my first thoughts or like images about this story is like having a cover with Cordelia on the cover holding like the seashell necklace in her hands with the tentacles wrapping around her, and having like the locket in the background. And like I'm not sure if I want that cover to be the real cover, or maybe I just kind of want to do artwork of it. But like I have this image in my head and I've had it since I came up with this story, which is why she looks the way she does. And I want to at least hint about that. But also, like, I don't want to end this chapter with just pain, and pain. Which is why we're, like, moving into the magical part of being underwater. Because it's not only bad, it's not only the painful transformation, it's also, like, she gets to be in the ocean that she has been longing for forever. And she gets to see these, like, beautiful underwater places and things, and like Cordelia is the kind of person who like can see the magic in things, and I want to show that, like she will see these beautiful things underwater. Like she doesn't care much about things before this, because like yeah, she lives in this town where she's always been, and most of her time is spent like, I want to go to that place, I don't want to be here. So her finally like being where she always wanted to be, and it being even more magical than she expected it to, I want that to come through. And like despite her pain, she don't regret it. Not at all. Like she's scared she might regret it, but she doesn't regret it, and she'll be fine. She'll be able to enjoy all the little things. Even though she's still adapting. And oh my god, we're almost like halfway, I think. Because the first draft has 52 chapters. Okay, it was still a few weeks away. But almost halfway. Oh my god. So yeah, next week we will have the locket saving the people of the Sailing Serpent, and oh my god, there will be all the fun things. We will have like theatrical Captain Jones. We will have the Locket crew learning that Cordelia is missing, and we will have Rasmus on the Locket. And then we will have more underwater scenes, and we will finally meet the Dutchman. Which will also have another like visceral reaction from Cordelia, because the Flying Dutchman puts fear in any sea creatures, and it's like this instinctively, or like I want it to be this instinct, like this raw fear that can be felt throughout your whole body. Like, this isn't just, oh, this ant will bite me. This is, I will probably die, and I am not able to do anything about it. It will be painful, and my whole body knows this. And we will introduce the crew of the Flying Dutchman. And speaking of, like I mentioned earlier today, I will have to round out on that. We will have to decide on a name for one of the crew members for the Flying Dutchman. And I have left a link in the description for a poll where you can vote for some names I came up with, and or like add more if you have a better name, because I need one. So one of the crew members on the Flying Dutchman is this vampire, this male vampire. There are 2 vampires on the Flying Dutchman. They are vampire twins. We have Rosaline and her brother, who I'm currently calling Victor, but I don't want him to be named Victor. Like, I want the vibes of Victor, but I don't really like the name Victor. It's just personal bias showing through, I guess, but I don't want him to be named Victor, because I think he's too good for that. I'm sorry to any Victors out there, but like, I don't think I've met many Victors I would like to meet again. And it also just like reminds me of like Victor Frankenstein. I don't like that guy at all, so I want another name. But with the same vibes. Because he's kind of a grump, and he's very much I am better than everyone else. I want to go back and live in a castle somewhere far away from people. I don't want to see people. I don't want to talk to people unless it's like, for feeding. And I hate being on this rocking boat out in the middle of nowhere, and it's like he complains a lot, and like they are from a noble background, so he's very much like, this is beneath me, but I also don't really have a choice. But he's also very much like, okay, these people took us in when we had nowhere else to go. I am forever thankful for that. They are my family. I may not like being on this boat, but I do treasure these people more than anything, even though he may not have had much practice showing that. But like he will also transform into a cat and cuddle up with the half troll when she gets nightmares. And like he doesn't give compliments very often, but when he does, it's like you deserve it. So I think like I have written him giving Cordelia a compliment once, and it's like the only compliment he ever gives anyone in the book. And it's like, yeah, I don't really want you to leave. I see that it takes everything in you not to like run away from us, but you're still here, and I can respect that. Just don't hurt us. So if you want to be part of deciding on his name, you can check it out down below, and even like I will leave the poll open, because even if we go with Victor still for this draft, I still want to change it before publication, so we can always change it later. So if you're watching this video or like the playback of this live stream even after next week's live stream or in the future, as long as it's before the book is out, feel free to check it out and help me decide. And I have linked it, like I have made the poll on Patreon because I want, like, I can collect everything over there. It makes it easier instead of having like YouTube posts, and then I will have to link YouTube the post to other platforms like Instagram, and like it's easier to keep everything there, and like everything there is wrapped in ocean, nothing else. So if I need to announce something regarding like the videos I make on this channel that aren't related directly to Wrapped in Ocean, I can still do that here without it being confusing. So yeah, and I think that's what we're doing. Next week you will meet this guy. There is also some drawings for the poll of this guy if you want to see him. So it's like the only thing down there. These live streams don't get much in the description at all. It's just a tiny bit for when they're scheduled, and then now I added this link. It's not like my videos that has like a lot of text that I always add in. Yeah, we will also torture Rasmus a bit more next week. And like I said, hinting a bit on of that other sailing master. Oh yeah, and I also have some other things I need to do before that, I see now. So that next week will be fun. I think next week will be fun. I do have a point in the last chapter that's like, oh, I need to do some research, which might be fun. We'll see if I will do it on the live stream or if I will do it before. We'll see. But okay, yes. But we'll be back next week with another live stream. I don't think I have any more breaks planned. for the live streams. We'll see if I write on November 21st, because that's my birthday. I haven't decided if I want to do the live stream or if I want something else, but otherwise, at least for the rest of the year, I will do these live streams same time, same day of the week, every week, and I might do some longer live streams or add some live streams, because I realize we'll almost write every chapter and finish the whole second draft before December is over if I add in a few more live streams or like add in more chapters. I don't remember right now, but it's like 5 chapters, I think, more than if I do 3 every Friday until the end of the year. We will have like 5 chapters left. So I might just add them in somewhere. Maybe I'll just do a longer live stream on the 21st. Maybe that would be fun. Or I will add in some extra live streams. We'll see. They will be scheduled beforehand. I will go ahead and schedule the next few live streams right when I'm done with this one. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed being here with me, and I really enjoyed like getting these 3 chapters written. It's fun. I really like this story. If you couldn't tell. But yeah, thank you so much. Talking is not my specialty today, it seems. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great adventure, and I hope to see you next week. Bye!